Hey everyone, so today we're going to talk about factoring trinomials. So before we get to what that means, let's just look back at something we've done before. We talked a lot about foiling. If you have a problem like this, x plus 3 times x plus 5, so we know the way you do it is you do x times x, you get x squared. So 5 times x is 5x, 3 times x is 3x, and 3 times 5 is 15. That gives you x squared plus 5x plus 3x plus 15. Again, the middle two terms can be combined, 5x plus 3x equals 8x, giving us x squared plus 8x plus 15. Hopefully, you all know how to do that. Now, let's say I asked the problem the other way around. Let's say I started out with something like this, x squared plus 8x plus 15, and I wanted it to work backwards to figure out how could I write it like this. How could I write it with these two sets of parentheses, x plus this, x plus that? If I only gave you this, how could I figure out how to get back to the two sets of parentheses? So before we show an example, just first look at a couple things. You notice how this number 15, where did this 15 come from? So the 15 came, we did 3 times 5, right? The last term was 3 times 5, which gave us 15. Notice how this 8 over here, the number in front of the x, where did this 8 come from? Well, we added 5x plus 3x, which came from this 5 and this 3. And that's how we got 8x. So it turns out this number over here, this 8, to get that, all you have to do is add 3 plus 5. And to get the number at the end, the number that's by itself without any x, all you have to do is 3 times 5. So the final number is just this times this, and the number in front of the x is just this plus this. Okay, so now let's look at the example over here. So over here you have x squared plus 9x plus 20. So I want to factor this. That means I want to write it something similar to what we have on the other side, where I have another parentheses. I need to figure out what goes into the parentheses. So I know off the bat, since there's an x squared here, I know I'm going to need to start with an x. And I know here I'm going to need to start with an x. The question is, what numbers should go here and here? So if you remember from what we said before, those two numbers are going to have to multiply to equal 20 and add up to equal 9. And if we do that, then it will work out. So what two numbers multiply to equal 20 and add up to equal 9? So again, always best to start with the multiplication because there's usually going to be only a few options. So which two numbers multiply to equal 20? Well, 20 times 1, but 20 plus 1 doesn't equal 9. 10 times 2, but again, 10 plus 2 won't equal 9. Or you could do 5 times 4, and 5 plus 4 does equal 9. So since 5 times 4 is 20 and 5 plus 4 is 9, the two numbers we're going to use are 5 and 4. We'll have x is 4 and x plus 5. That's going to be our final answer. Now, if you want to check if your answer is right, all you have to do is FOIL this and see what happens. If you FOIL, you get x squared plus 5x plus 4x plus 20, and when you simplify, you'll end up getting back to this. If you did it correctly, then once you get your answer, if you FOIL it, you should get back to the original problem. That's a way of checking your work. Let's try another example. How would we factor x squared plus 8x plus 7? Again, if you can pause it and try to do it on your own. Again, we want to make two sets of parentheses. We know each one's going to start with an x. And I want two numbers that are going to multiply to equal 7 and add up to equal 8. Well, two numbers that multiply to equal 7, the only real option is 7 and 1. And 7 plus 1 does equal 8. So those are the two numbers we're going to use. We're going to do plus 7 going to do, again, if I check this, just FOIL this out, and you'll see that it ends up equaling back to this. So that's basic factoring trinomials. Now, the problems we've done today all only have pluses in them. We haven't dealt with any minuses today, which makes it a little easier. We're going to deal with that next time. It's really done the same way. Just be careful with the positives and negatives to make sure you're multiplying and adding properly. But either way, the main point is you need two numbers that multiply to equal the number at the end and add up to equal the number in front of the x. Okay, have a good one.